Okay, today's lesson is a continuation of chapter 2, which is problem solving. This specifically looks at problem solving with formulas. So the nice thing about this is you're given, in most situations, the formula, so you don't have to really think about what to use in the equation. So it's not as much trying to figure out what the words mean as much as it is plugging things into a formula. So a formula is an equation that states a known relationship among multiple quantities. All right, it's going to have more than one variable. So some formulas that you guys already know is like area, length times width. That's a known relationship that does not change. So what formulas look at is their constants, and they're things that we know are relationships that you can kind of count on being fact. All right. So you should probably write some of these down. All right. Your area, your simple interest. You're definitely going to want to write down your simple interest. So things I expect to see added to your formula section is your area, interest, perimeter, distance, and volume. The reason why you need to add these is you will see these again, and it will be good for you to have them all in one spot, so you don't have to really think about and you don't have to worry about what your various formulas are going to be. So when you have a word problem in the future that says, all right, the area of a triangle, you can immediately pull that out. Or you have simple interest kind of questions, and you're going to see those actually in the next lesson. You're going to want this equation. So if you need to, pause the video now and write those down. So another formula you will want to write down is your temperature conversion. All right, so when you're converting temperature from Fahrenheit to Celsius, this is your formula right here. Okay, you're going to want to write that one down. So, and this is something you're going to see again. Most of these formulas you're going to see in your future science classes, in things like physics, things like chemistry, things like cooking. You're going to see the temperature changes. So if you have to convert the temperature from 5 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit, you're going to use this formula right here. All right, and you would plug in, you're told that it's Celsius, so you just plug that 5 degrees in for C, and then you would just solve the equation normally. All right, so that means you would multiply first, and then you would add. So you do the 9 over 5 times 5 plus 32. This is relatively easy because your 5s are going to cross out. And then you would just add those together. All right, so like I said, the 5s cross out, you get 9 plus 32, which is just going to be 41. So if you have 5 degrees Celsius, your solution is going to be 41 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the equivalent. And with word problems, like we talked about in the lesson before this, make sure you figure out what they're actually asking, and make sure you answer the question they're really asking you. Okay, flower bed is in the shape of a triangle. With one side twice the length of the shortest side, and the third side is 30 feet more than the length of the shortest side. And the perimeter is going to be 120 feet. So what you're looking at in that situation, okay, so your shortest side is going to be your x. All right, perimeter is going to be side plus side plus side. Okay, so one is twice the length of the shortest side, and then the other one is 30 feet more than that shortest side. So you take the shortest side, you add 30 to it, and it has a perimeter that added together equals 102 feet. Okay, so it tells you to find the dimensions. Find the dimensions. So what it's really wanting you to find is it wants you to find side 1, it wants you to find side 2, and it's going to want you to find side 3. So you're going to have 3 answers to this. All right, but the first thing you have to do is you're going to have to solve for x. So okay, so the same formula right there. You can drop the parentheses. I kept them just so you can see what you're dealing with. All right, then you combine your like terms. In combining your like terms, over here, you have x plus 2x plus x. You're going to get 4x plus 30. Okay, because the 2 in front doesn't change the value. What would change the value is, it doesn't change if it's a like term. If an exponent would change if it's a like term. So you have 4x plus 30 equals 102. Okay, and then you guys know what to do from here. You would subtract 30 from both sides, and then you would divide by 4. All right. So next thing you would have to think about is, can 72 over 4 be reduced? And it can. So x equals 18. Now, what they're asking for in this question, what they're really asking for is they're asking for each side. So you know that this side equals 18 because you know what x equals. This is 2 times 18, and this is going to be 18 plus 30. So you have a 3-part answer, and you're going to need to make sure that you answer all of those various parts. Okay, this is saying the exact same thing. So you have 2 times 18, and then you add the 18 to 30, and that's where they get these 3 different lengths. Okay, solving a formula for a variable. So what we're looking at in that is if you have something like distance, which is rate times time, and you need to solve for time. How do you get the t by itself? Okay, you would divide both sides by r, so the r's would cancel. So to get this equation by itself, you would have t equals distance over rate. Okay, and that's going to be important because you're not always given all of the information that you need. All right, so I would suggest at this point that you pause the video and write down these steps in your notes. Simplify what these steps say. Don't copy them down word for word. Translate them so you can actually understand them, and copy those into your notes. All right, so you have this equation. You're solving this formula for n. Okay, now I put these dots here to remind you, whenever you have all of these right next to each other, it's the same thing as multiplication. All right, so to get the n right here by itself, this is multiplication. The opposite function would be to divide both sides by m and r, and you can do that all in one step. All right, so you would end up with t over mr equals n. Okay, so this is the same as using the stuff that you learned last week or a few weeks ago. Same thing, only you have all letters instead of having some numbers in there too. The principles are identical though. All right, this one's a little bit more complicated. What you're looking at in this one is you have A equals P plus P times RT, and you need to solve for P. All right, now what you want to look for in this situation is you have an addition sign. Anytime you have an addition sign, look on each side of it and see if there's something on each side of the addition sign that you can pull out from that addition property. All right, and in this case, you can pull out the P, and you're left with 1 plus RT, okay? Because if you distribute this P back through, you would get P plus PRT, which is the same as your original equation. All right. If you're not sure if a step that you did is correct, undo what you did and then see if you get the same thing. Okay, so P times 1 plus RT. So you need to get the P by itself. This is now multiplication. Opposite function of multiplication would be you would divide both sides by everything inside that parenthesis. Okay, so these would cancel out, and you would have A over 1 plus RT equals P. All right, and this is what we're looking at in this particular section, is taking these formulas and applying word problems to them, and then also applying, in addition to that, is how would you solve for these and set them up in such a way that you can get one variable by itself. And it's the same thing that you guys have been doing when you have to isolate x to solve for x. It's the exact same thing. The only difference is now you don't have numbers, you have all letters, and sometimes that can be a little intimidating. So do the examples. Make sure you add these examples into your notes with the steps that they walk you through. And if you have any questions, make sure you bring them with you to class tomorrow so that we can explain this a little further, because I know when you don't have any numbers and it's all letters, that can be a little bit intimidating. Has been for classes in the past, so please don't hesitate to double check on that. All right, so get the notes done, get the example problems done.